This episode of Don't Bother Wearing Seatbelts actually features two of our shorter Season 1 episodes, freed from behind a paywall. That's because they are both technically unofficial episodes due to having looser relationships with the Elephant Six movement. Though it's hard not to see many similarities in innovation and composition approach within both, it's of work discussed. No, this isn't this month's installment of the podcast within a podcast, Don't Bother Wearing Seatbelts, but Matthew Bell is joining Rudy to talk to Chris McKay, the human inspiration of a new Elephant Six adjacent movement, the Wow Signal Collective. I guess you could call it a mini episode of Don't Bother, but regardless, this discussion of The Other Side of the Question by Devine and Devine is guaranteed to inspire thoughts about the definition of music, time travel, and life itself.
Can you hear me? 'Cause I got something I've got to say. Make 'em bleed now.
My first question is not really a question, but it's like more, holy fuck, is this record awesome?
Oh,
Nice job.
thank you. I can't tell you how much that means to me because I've gotten some backlash already from the few people that have heard it, but I've not gotten, here's the interesting part for me. I've gotten zero backlash from people who I sent it to without explaining.
Chaos, clashes, torched, vandalized, and looted.
The calls for justice are growing more intense.
And every single person sent me back these messages that were insane. Like, you must release this, all capital letters, exclamation points. And some of them only found out afterwards. They're like, wait, that wasn't all like live? Because they've heard me play all kinds of different music over the years with different bands. And that surprised me that it wasn't painfully obvious.
No, it's not, because I've actually written about AI music in the past, and one of my big complaints is there's a thing about the sound quality and also the tonality and the way the music is used. But I think because it has such a retro sort of psych vibe,
Yeah.
it kind of obscures a lot of, I think, the things that AI doesn't do well. And I think that certainly the idea of making music with AI, it's a hot button issue. I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, but
It won't be. That's the thing. It won't be. It's already happening. There are major artists that are doing it and just not being open about it.
Well, the way I look at it, and I'll let Matthew talk here in a second. Sorry.
You're good.
But like, I look at it like when, like, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I am 52. So when I was a teenager, sampling was very prominent.
Right.
Yes.
Like, it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. And the first De La Soul record, which was just layered with sample after sample. There was a lot of controversy with that. It's like, this is not music. They're just using other music to, make their music better. And it's like, no, it's actually taking that and using the sounds as an instrument. And I think that what this record does very well is take what AI can do and then turn it into something that is more compelling. It's not necessarily the avenue, the tools which you're using. Maybe I feel a little weird about it, but the end product is it's being used in a very creative way to create something that I think is really good. And maybe also I'm just a sucker because I love anything sort of psychedelic soulish. And there certainly
Yeah,
is
there's not enough of it. There's really not.
yeah, there's
I mean, where do you go after Funkadelic? Maybe some Chambers Brothers, some start naming some psychedelic soul groups. You'll run low really quick.
let's not ignore the Temptations,
Sure,
especially
you're right.
stuff. And then also too, there's very obvious. It feels like there's a very strong MC5 influence.
Thank you. I think you are the second person that's mentioned that. Wayne Kramer was a friend of mine in his last few years, and it was really important to me to get some MC5 in there. So far, the one other person has said it. I'm glad you heard it, because that was absolutely one of my starting points with what I needed for myself.
I know Matthew, when he sent forward me an email with some of the files and stuff, he was like, there's a lot of MC5 in this. I don't know if he was the other person to share that, but like when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, I definitely hear that, but I also hear a lot of this psychedelic soul. And I know that's what Wayne Kramer was listening to a lot, because I do know that he was a huge
Absolutely
soul fan. But anyway, I'll let Matthew talk, and I'll just butt in because I have so many thoughts.
awesome. Well, I will add before Matt, sorry, Matt, is that you were absolutely right with the temps thing when it comes to a song like Blessings, which is the last song on the first half of the record. I definitely veered it in that direction intentionally for that portion of the record. So you were dead on that.
I'm so tired of pretending everything's gonna be okay. 'Cause you see, when I look around, things just ain't that way. They ain't that way, no, no. Everybody always saying, look, the Lord is in control. Amen. But if he really is, why is he always kicking us down? Tell me. Why is he always kicking us down? Tell me.
I would say, Rudy, what you were talking about with how, sampling used to be considered almost theft, and it's now considered to be an actual valid art form. But beyond that, this is how we've approached every new evolution in music. The drum machine comes out, you're going to have an entire faction of the music world saying that that's not drumming. Well, like, what are you doing? You can't use a drum machine. That's not real music. When sampling first came out, no one thought that this could ever be considered a real art form. And yet here we are, and it is.
Right. And for me, one of the first things I tend to say to people that have been, if not overtly critical for the tools used, questioning, because they've been so conditioned to not accept this as its own entity for what it is. But my first thing is, do you like the continuing story of Bungalow Bill on the White Album? And most of the Beatles friends that will say, of course. And I'll say, what do you think about the guitar intro? Who do you think played that? It's literally one button pushed on a Mellotron. The whole classical guitar intro was just one button being pushed. Are you cool with that? That didn't take work. I'm telling you right now, the stuff that I did took way more work than if I had picked up a guitar and recorded the stuff myself. I've been doing that for more than 30 years now. I know how to make a record. I know how to make a record that sounds good. This was harder.
I am very confused as how I feel about AI in general.
Me too.
But I think a use like this is it's just showing it's not about like the specific tools. It's the person using the tools. What are they doing with it? And so,
And what's their intent?
So now that we got all that out of our systems, how about we get to somewhere else? I mean, we both know we're on this same damn trip. So if you want to come along, let's go.
It was really a fever dream. I was still, I don't know how much. Well, the listeners here don't know that I was in an anesthetic haze still. I had to have emergency surgery in April. My body, because of my genetic conditions, don't allow me to process anesthesia. So a month and a half later, I was still messed up. I could hardly stand up. I could not hold a guitar. So this led me to, I was seeing the discussions at the time about AI. It has no soul. It has no this, that, the other. And I was like, these people are people that I trust that are saying it has no soul. And for the most part, I said, this must be true. Then I saw an article about Randy Travis, the country singer, who had a stroke many years ago. And I had a stroke back in 2006. So obviously it struck a chord, but he hadn't been able to sing or perform. He was a huge country star for decades. And he was able to go into the studio earlier this year and express exactly how he wanted his vocal to sound on a new song. And they had another singer come in and sing the part exactly as Randy directed it. And then they took Randy's old voice through AI and put it into this new track. And he was able to make new music through AI. And
I don't think I'll ever understand why anyone would want to take a paintbrush away from an artist.
That's that's my argument, because I keep saying it's taking work away from musicians. It made it possible for me when I couldn't. It made it possible for Randy Travis. And excuse me, but who the fuck is anyone else to tell me that my means of expression is invalid because of the tools that I use to do it? And see, it was personal for me, not as a product. There is no product intended in the making of this. I literally, like you, like Matt, like all of us here, I'm sure we're such music fans because it has been such a stabilizing force for us. It has made us survive. It's given us reason. It's given us hope when there wasn't hope. And in this moment, I had just been told I was dying if I didn't have the surgery. I've got genetic conditions. I'm basically at my life expectancy right now for my conditions. And I'm a musician. I've always been a musician, but I'm a music fan first. And I needed an album. I love psychedelic soul like you. I love, early to mid 70s kind of proggy, semi-psychedelic stuff, the Floyd, King Crimson, Camel, Eloy, all that kind of stuff, even as you get deeper. I love that kind of stuff. And I looked around. I had all those albums, but you know how it is when you need something new to nourish you, to make you feel, and it didn't exist. I couldn't find it. So with my friend saying it has no soul, and I'm thinking I could use a psychedelic soul record, let me experiment. And within 3 hours, Climbing Vine was finished. It freaked me out that first song, I had never used AI to make a song, but it gave me what I wanted. I'm very expressive with words. So with prompting, I was able to get it to sound exactly, because I put in the details of how big I wanted the studio to be. I wanted the sound to be, the year, the era it could be from beginning to end. It could stretch to this era or not. It doesn't have to be exact, but it has to be in this era. It has to be these sounds. It has to be influenced by this. It has to be these instruments. It has to be this number of musicians. It has to be everything. And if it spit something out that worked, I would take it and build on it. A lot of people just use AI and say, hey, write me a song about cats with flatulence. And it does all the work. I did not do that. I was very specific. Every detail sonically had to meet exactly what I want. And the same kind of chordings and voicings and everything else, the same kind of overbends that I play on the guitar. And the fact that those words, because I was like, this I swear to you, and it still freaks me out. I know I was in an anesthetic haze, so maybe that's partially accountable. But it could also be from the strange experiences I've had being post-stroke, being post-vertebral artery dissection. My neuropsychologist said, when your brain rewires, sometimes it gives you access to things that the normal people don't. So I'm not making that claim, but I'm saying this was bizarre that I said, okay, what album do I need? I was like, I'm going to meditate on this for a minute. I closed my eyes. The second my eyes closed, I knew the artist name. I knew the album title. I knew the band members' names. I knew who they were. I knew their backstories. It was truly eerie. The first song was done in 3 hours. The album was done from Thursday night at 9:30, just winging it, and then just leisurely. And by Sunday afternoon, it was done, the whole album, and a bonus track.
Is this really happening? Well, what do you think is hell if I know? But
Is that 100% AI generated, or is there any of you that's in it? Voice is very consistent throughout, so I wondered about that.
Yes, every voice that is expressed that you hear is an quote unquote artificial voice, every word, every utterance, every mannerism, every is me. As in, you don't hear me saying it, you're not hearing my voice, but I put in every expression, every emotion I was able to program. And every word is mine. There is the last voice on the record, which is, what do you think? That's my wife's actual voice. And that's why Robert, when Robert Schneider came into it, we only knew each other tangentially through mutual friends. But Jason Neesmith, I took it to him to help me master it better. I remixed it myself. I went into and used a stem splitter and a DAW on my computer and remixed it and re-edited it, changed it around in some places where it didn't quite flow or shortened some things. And then I took it to Jason to see if he could help me master it. And at one point, he stopped mastering and just looked at me and turned around in the seat and said, "This is the weirdest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life." And he was like, that's a compliment. He was like, yes. I just have to keep starting this over because I can't believe this is happening. And I took that as huge. And then he looked at me and he said, "You need to get in touch with Robert." And I was like, really? He would take it seriously since it's, generated this week. And he said, the exact quote, "Robert will be way into this." I didn't know. And I sent it. And yeah, Robert was effusive. And he had said he had been working with AI and stuff in the background, and his son was working on some stuff with it. And he really felt strongly that I had reached a different level with it that he hadn't heard before. And he asked me how. I gave him some details. According to him, it inspired him to start making more music, which he hadn't really wanted to do for a long time. So that was huge.
Yeah, he's kind of been out of the game.
Yeah, and he's making a lot of music now, although I don't know how much is coming out. But yeah, but it's strange how it really is strange how it came. And this is where, Robert's philosophies with the Wow Signal Collective that we co-founded because of the other side of the question came about, where, he's convincing me that this is some kind of communication that's beyond us, that's coming through us. All I know is that I closed my eyes and the band was there and the song was there. And the order was for Climbing Vine, the first song. Well, this guy is this kind of a singer. He's not going to want to show any weakness at first. So the first line is really abrasive and aggressive, with the, "I'm not going to kick your ass, but I'm not going to kiss it either." But then he's going to slowly unravel when he starts to saying what he wants to hear or what he needs to express. And it just came in real time. I did not write a single lyric prior to the previous 30-second increment. Everything that you hear was done in real time, basically 30 seconds at a time. Nothing in advance. Nothing. It's weird. It's weird. And that's why I didn't know how to feel about it. And I started sending it to friends because I was like, I can't release this, can I? And there was nobody that said I shouldn't. So I'm taking the chance on it. I'm going to take a hit because I can't put it out under my artist name.
No, I know what you mean there. This has got to be a bit stressful for you because you're breaking down a boundary that a lot of people are not looking at the other side of this issue right now. All they're doing is they're seeing the side where corporations are going to steal from artists. That's the side that they're looking at. They don't see the possibilities or the excitement of what a creation we have accomplished as a species that we can do this now.
The phrase artificial intelligence, I'm a little bit averse to, even though that's the way you have to express it, because is what I'm doing, making new music with a different tool, the same as the technology that's allowing us to find breast cancer 5 years earlier? Is it the same technology that's giving you your directions in your car? So I think there's going to be a new terminology to express it, but it really is just another tool. let's meet with the devil here. This is the devil that's taking away my future as a musician. And that ain't what I found. I found a savior.
It's like you are the creator pulling the strings from behind the curtain.
Oh, it's exactly. Look, here's the thing. One of the things that gets to me where people are saying it's not this or it's not that. I've worked in the studio where I've played all the instruments. I've worked in the studio where I've had band members come in and we collaborate in real time. I've also worked in the studio where I've like, okay, here's what I need you to do. Take after take. Okay, that wasn't good enough. They'll get frustrated. Take a break, come back. Let's try it again. Do it over and over. If that person doesn't work, you bring somebody else again. You do it until you get it. That's that's exactly the same thing as this. Robert was talking to me about it a couple of weeks ago. And I said, the last 4 songs that I did, this is after Devine and Devine, it took me 4,000 takes for each song. Each, so 1,000 takes each, on average. And that's me like, okay, that was good. Nope, you can't use that. Do it again. Nope, do it again. And if it didn't get exactly what I needed, it gets thrown out. And you cannot put in artist names. So understand that. So when people are talking about ripping off, you can't just say, I want something that sounds like MC5. Right. But what you can say is Detroit, 1969, for instance, you can say phrases or things that would maybe guide in that direction. But for everything that would be a direct path, I would also throw something else off because I'd also mention death. Or just straight soul, gritty voice, whatever, intense, religion, like church. So these qualities that in a way seem counterintuitive or contradictory, but as a musician, ain't nothing contradictory about MC5 in the church. It's just a different gospel. So there's these conversations in my head which are surreal. I'm telling you guys, I talked to the other musicians who don't exist as much as I ever talked to anyone in the studio. And I'm getting your input now. How do I express it back so that I'm expressing what I need to express, partnering with you? And it was really, 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 really weird. And imagine the doors that this could open up. And I keep telling people, they're like, it's putting musicians out of business. Like, well, maybe if musicians can't hang, they should stop being whale blubber salesmen. I don't know.
I guess one of the questions that I have is sort of a follow-up to something you had said earlier, which is you can't put this out under your own name. I guess, to me, it feels like maybe there's a hint of you're not sure what to make of this. Is this truly you? Was there machine assistance? Was it purely creative? I guess if you could just sort of talk about more why you can't put it out under your...
No, it's not because of the tools. It's not because of the AI. It's not because of the machine or anything else. It is because the artist that is known as, quote, Chris McKay, which I'm even uncomfortable saying it like that, is not that artist. This is a different artist to me, not because of the technology. The Mind Field record, which is the more kind of proggy one that I did, that's more early 70s, is the same thing. It's not me, although I'm the one responsible for everything you hear. Ultimately, I'm the one who wrote every lyric, every utterance, everything, and it expresses my feelings. But I feel like a producer, an engineer, getting the sounds and getting the performers to express what I need to express. Yeah, is that answering it? And I can sit here, I got my guitar beside me. I can play you the songs. So nobody can tell me I can't do them. If I was performing live still, the songs would be added into my set.
I think that's beside the point. I think, yes, it's fantastic that you can play them, but even if you couldn't,
sure,
you're not creating this to make a polished product that you can set in front of children and get them to pay whatever amounts of money to give to you.
Definitely not.
No, this is made out of love and out of creativity.
It's made out of need, which is something that I think, my own songs at this point, I've got a few people that care when I make a record or not, or when I release a song of my own. Matt heard Bless the Air, which is going to be the first song on the next record, and I performed it live a few times and people liked it. But I'm not trying, especially with my health. I can't go out and tour. I can't do this without the other. I'm not trying to get a record label, and I'm not trying to fit into anyone's expectations. In fact, I talked to a record label about this record because I know I have a friend, and besides from his, oh man, this is a really hot topic issue. I don't know if we could do this and not not get blowback. And the fear was evident because it's like, I really like this. I just don't think we can do it. And I was like, I respect that, and that's what I want to hear is the truth. But then he was like, and besides, we would have to, it would have to get in line with all the other releases, so it couldn't come out for like a year and a half. And I'm like, not interested. Not interested.
What I will say is that it does give you a lot to think about when you start processing it all. But at the bottom line is, it's good. So
That's what I hope.
About now. Yeah, man. Just like it's been the end for 1,000 years. So when's that thing happening? People are hurting and bleeding and dying for a break to come. I know that's right. And most of us are tied down tight by all our fears. Oh, Lord, save us. No, it's not a matter of if, but when. Yeah, that's just a matter of truth.
I actually don't know how the actual idea of it becoming collective came to be, which is odd. I know Robert and I were talking a lot when it came to this stuff, and just trying to figure out where we came from. He was asking me a lot of questions about how I processed it, because I'm sure you would know him well enough to know his mind is very analytical, and yet he can express himself in these esoteric ways that are always kind of intriguing. For him, it was like a communication. He was like, we're not alone. This is happening to you. You didn't know to reach out to me. Somebody else connected us. There are other artists doing this. We are a part of a movement that we didn't know we were a part of. And we only know that we're a part of this together now because someone else connected us. So there are other artists that are a part that we don't know yet. They're there waiting for them to be connected to us or vice versa. And the Wow Signal Collective is his name, which is clear if you know him. That's his whole thing, is like, this connects back to this thing that happened in 1977 with sending out the golden record through Voyager and receiving messages back somehow. It's coming to us in these ways that are beyond us, and we need to express it and get it out there. And for me, I'm like, that's pretty incredible. But while it's hard for me to just say yes, I can also say the way it came to me was really weird. Whether it's me, whether it's this, that, or the other, whether it's these fantastical ideas, is irrelevant. It's coming. So shouldn't we try to receive as we can? And then, with this input that we're receiving, shouldn't we, as artists, if we dare to consider ourselves artists at any level, shouldn't we be trying to output it for whatever it can give to someone else? You guys like this record. That means everything to me. That's it. That sounds like a cliche, but that's beyond anything I ever imagined. So, and I'm just intent on that, and I will die on that hill. Right now it's Bandcamp only, chrismckay.bandcamp.com, and there's a bunch of different vinyl variants, because that's the only way that I got anything back off the last record, is that there are collectors for like Wax Mage. If you know what Wax Mage is, it's this fantastical, magical, hand-poured, specifically designed, and I will work with Heath to design the Wax Mage variant. And those things sold out like in 10 minutes for the last time. And that was just Wax Mage collectors who had never heard my music. So I'm relying on that to kind of recoup a little bit. And then we're doing some other, a chroma variant, which is beautiful. Standard black. We're doing digital this time, worldwide distribution for just digital. All of that simply to try to make it for this project. And I'm doing limited artwork for the actual vinyl product, as in my last release was a gatefold double LP. This is not, and in the spirit of those records from that time, I'm not putting a bunch of stuff in it.
And now is the second unofficial episode, a discussion with the Rishis about their 2025 release, The Rishis, on Cloud Recordings. In this unofficial secret episode of Don't Bother Wearing Seatbelts, we'll attempt to answer the question, Is the Elephant Six movement a thing of the past, or still quite relevant?
And the sky fades gray as the light loses coloring. I've got nothing to say. What I've got, I know you'll understand. It may take a little time, but honey, do you know that
Very cool, but I think that we have just been joined by some other members of the band.
Hey guys, it's Ranjan, and Sophie's around here
how are
somewhere
you?
too.
I know we have a fourth person that came in. Who is that?
It's Robbie.
Mr. Robbie Cucciaro.
Yes. Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Hi.
Oh, you are, a legend.
I would not ever say that.
I know you wouldn't, but that's why I did.
We're just here to talk to you guys about the new release and all of that, and just take it from there. Matthew?
Yes.
walk a million miles all the way back home just to see if you have called, to see if you'll come home.
The new album is self-titled, correct?
So many people with the first record, they were like, so your band is August Moon. We couldn't find the band. So we thought, well, for this one, we'll just make it easy for everybody. It's the Rishis, the Rishis.
Okay. I know you guys, this is the second album in a row that you've used artwork by Lucy Calhoun.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. She's brilliant. She used to be my roommate back in the 90s. And we played some music back then. And over the years, we just kept in contact playing music. So we thought, Sophie and I saw this one beautiful painting she did, and we asked her if we could use that for August Moon. And she said, yeah. And she played on the record. So then band is named after our kid, Rishi. And so we said, can you paint a buffalo for the next record, kind of like for Rishi? So she did a fantastic job. She's amazing, amazing lady. The first record was prolonged. It was took 2 or 3 years because we hit that pandemic. You know, we had to bring in different folks, and different musicians came in with masked up to play and everything. So it was just taking such a long time that we just went ahead and just started writing more songs. When we toured Europe, we were writing songs, and during the recording of August Moon, I'm pretty hyper, man. I just keep thinking of new ideas and moving, working. And I think that it's just a natural progression. August Moon's done. What's on to the next thing? Already we have records, songs for the third record, and talking to Chris Byron every time I see him, dude, let's start recording. When do we just need to get the ball rolling?
Shake the ground, hear
not like the Rishis are like true blue, like Elephant Six or whatever, but there's so many connections.
So I was a dancer in the 90s.
You were a dancer?
Really?
I was a modern dancer.
Really?
Through the University of Georgia while I was studying psychology, right? And so I had met some folks with the Elephant Six collective, and like I was talking about living with Lucy in the 90s, and in this place called Normal Town on Sunset, and met Bill Doss and Beth Sale, and there was a guy, Andy, living in her attic working on his first record for Marshmallow Coast.
Yeah, Andy Gonzalez.
Yeah. And he played on the first record and was sweet to help us. So some of these songs have origins from then, from the 90s. And then they just got shelved away and never finished because I was in school and I was working and doing other stuff and distracted. So then those songs kind of had a rebirth and were able to be finished.
It's interesting because I was just talking to some random people who have familiarity with the band, but aren't necessarily like Elephant Six people. So it's weird. You have this bridge to this movement / entity that's out there, but then also kind of your own thing going on. It's just I guess I was wondering where you feel you guys actually fit in this grant, because it's I don't know, it's a hard to define thing.
I would jump in and just say, I think Elephant Six is and was, it's about community and, people getting together and just sharing each other's talents to make something. I think there's that connection, besides some of us like knowing each other for many years, like John Fernandez and I know each other, of course. And I remember the first time I saw the Rishis play, I was in another band playing the same night with them. And on stage was Max and Kieran, who are children of Elephant Six, alumni.
Yeah, John's son and Robert Schneider's son.
Yeah, yep. And Lucy was up there, and I think Beth might have been up there as well. So it was like a real family band vibe. Elephant Six, it has its like roots in the jazz community, like the ideas of jazz players playing with each other, and a lot of musicians, they share each other's talents, and when you're like on the road for so many years together or just in the same town together, it's just like kind of I think about community and sharing and things that inspire us.
It's interesting that you phrase it that way, just because it's very much like jazz. You don't necessarily look for the main artist's name and label. You're looking in the back of the record to see who played on the record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it feels, there definitely is that. Just when I was reading a little, I could find about the Rishis online. It's like it feels like it's very much the sort of same thing where there's this person from here, this person from there, this thing, and they all come together, and these are the people that kind of lead it and spearhead it.
That's always really fun to see. It's like realizing like David Bowie helped produce, Transformer, and then you can hear David Bowie like singing on Satellite of Love, like you can distinctly hear him once
Robbie, what's your role in the group?
I'm just a horn player. Most of the horn lines, I think they're arranged and composed. Well, I can only play a certain way, so you kind of get what what you've bargained for with me. So you can try to give me something to play, and I'll do my best, but it'll come out a certain, a version, a Robbie version. And I was just listening to this really great interview about this guy that wrote a book about Louis Armstrong, and they were going through the Hot Five and the Hot Seven. I think those were his bands. And when you listen to him, of course, never will be any Louis Armstrong, but one thing I love about his horn playing is it's like a conversation. That's what I aim for, is like to speak with the instrument.
Life doesn't last, it just leaves. Love doesn't laugh, she just grieves, oh grieves. Why must the world always drag us down as we float and we swim in that sound, that sound? Soft skin now folds like paper trees, spine does bend under weight from knees. Why must our youth always fade so fast as we grow and we stretch and we try to grasp?
So was there any difference in approach to these particular songs than if there was on the first album? Like, was there a thematic through line?
I think the approach was similar. And so we kind of like to conceptualize it as a double album almost, but just released separately.
Oh.
The same kind of, not necessarily a plan, but we brought these songs and then wanted everybody just to bring in their own improvisations. So we wanted folks to have full range and freedom to play whatever they felt, and then piece it together almost like a auditory painting in that way, like a sound collage. But there were a couple of songs that Robert Schneider arranged for us.
Oh, okay.
So for those horn parts, they did have a structure. Robert was very sweet to play or sing the parts that he could hear floating around in that wonderful cranium of his.
And he's wonderful to work with. He's so freaking positive and nurturing.
I think my favorite thing about playing in the Rishis is just the stylistic variation, because I had never been in a band before this, and I was performing ambient electronic computer music for several years on my own before this. And I think in addition to just being able to play music in a different context like this, I love being able to drift from, pretty indie rock, psychedelia, to country rock, to droney raga kind of jams in the same set. That's a very appealing quality to me, and I think that's one of the things that makes this project so unique, is that you can't really pin it down to just one sound or style.
Did they show you the sun when those clouds obscured your childlike perspective? Did you know you're the one that is holding us, the Dalai Lama elected? Well, don't you worry, you're made to free your people from.
I guess kind of my sort of convoluted way of asking before is the real question is, is there any sort of intentional do you feel any sort of connection to the Elephant Six that's a big part of it, or is it just an influence on it, or what does that mean to you, I guess, or if anything? I obviously your personal history is connected to that, but what does that mean in 2025?
It feels like we're part of the tribe. Athens, the Elephant Six Collective is alive and well in Athens and Denver and Portland and different parts even of the world. And so it feels like kindred spirits, like we all walk together in our, collective.
I think that's a fantastic answer.
What do we need to know about this new record?
Well, it's again a collaborative approach, and it kind of spans different decades of growing up, listening to the transistor radio, to different, all kinds of genres. My mom was from Kentucky, so I was listening to country music. My dad was from India, I was listening to sitar and tanpura music. And then Sophie and I were, rocking out to the 80s, 90s, and stuff from the 60s. So I think it just kind of like organically, just the songs kind of fall out.
I feel like this Buffalo record is more vulnerable. I feel like it's a little bit more risky. Just how the approach that we took with it, I guess. And trusting like people's, abilities to contribute and stuff, and just, and I guess as we've gotten to know each other as a band, there's like a trust, I guess, that this record had with the pieces, all the elements coming together.
I guess risky in the way that we put ourselves out there, just asked for contributions and said, who wants to be a part of it? Like Mac McCaughan from Merge. I used to run into Mac at these shows, and I would give him these homemade demos and things, and he said, yeah, man, contact him. And he's always seems to have been a good supporter of Elephant Six bands. From Robbie's beautiful band, the music tapes and other works he's worked with, and Sophie reaching out to people that she's worked with in the past. That's kind of how the Shangri-La connection happened for this record, and we were able to go out there to the Shangri-La studios, and they helped us with overdubs on a couple of songs. So through that way, we really did put ourselves out there.
What's the release date of the album again?
February 21st. It's on Friday.
It's always great to talk to all the different bands from Athens. I'm just like, thank you for your.
There's all the time.
Got to participate. We need participation besides just one town or one place. So
yeah,
it is really striking to me because so we've talked to obviously a number of people who either spent a lot of time in Athens or are still in Athens. But we've also talked to people who are in other parts of the country, like Lexington, Kentucky, Norway, a lot of places, Montana, Northern California. It is very much sort of this little, it's a bad word, but I'll use it anyway, an insidious sort of movement that refuses to die, like a parasite.
That's right.
But it's in the good way, I guess. So, but yeah, it's never too late to discover great music. So thank you very much for everything.
Thanks, Rudy. Thanks, Matthew. See you, Rishis.
Don't bother wearing seatbelts. We'll be back in 2 weeks with an all-new episode. It's a discussion of the Black Swan Network's latest reissue set with close friend of the band and compilation co-curator Ron Qua. Until then, don't forget about our $1 Patreon that makes you eligible for our many giveaways and helps us keep the proverbial lights on. And oh yeah, don't forget to do what brings you joy and fulfillment. And maybe listen to some great music too.